This is Alex Mason with Sport in Omaha. Just wanted to give you some feedback on my pathway as a former player, then leading into being a coach. Obviously started very early, around about the age of 6, playing for the school, and that went right the way through until leaving school at the age of 16. During that period, had trials with Queen's Park Rangers, a London club, as a goalkeeper. Unfortunately that didn't work out, but that then led me into playing for different clubs and multiple positions. So started off as a goalkeeper, literally went through playing as a central defender, midfield, forward, and as I went on during the course of my career, went back to midfield as my main spot. My light bulb moment was reading the newspaper and my wife listening to me giving a bad report on what the commentator had written in the news article, and my wife very casually turned around and said, well, maybe you don't know what you're talking about. So that led me very quickly into then wanting to be more of a coach than a player. My first coaching course was the FA badge. I did that, really enjoyed it. A bizarre story of part of that was I was on my way to an Arsenal game with my wife and bumped into a friend, and he said, oh, did you get your result through from the license? And I said no, and he kind of looked at me with a strange look. He'd already got a letter saying that he had passed, which meant that they had failed me on my first course. I immediately phoned the Football Association. They got me in with a club, Bishop Stortford, which is an amateur club. Did the course with them, and on the very first day, the head coach of Bishop Stortford was also the Football Association clinician that was basically going to grade me. So the very first day he said, right, Alex, you're going to go first. We're going to give you defending. You're going to do defending with a disguise to tackle. Set up the lesson plan. You have about maybe 20 minutes to prepare. Went out into the field, had to run through the session. After the session, coach came over and said, I've got no idea why you're here. He said, you're more advanced in your coaching right now than our full-time players. So that was really where I learned that, one, if you do foul, carry on, don't give up. It just means that maybe you didn't keep one person happy, or you didn't maybe do the things that they wanted to see. And that really then led me into doing multiple coaching courses. In 1994, came to America, and that's where I started all the American courses.
My name is Ryan Kruse. I'm the Boys Director of Coaching for Sporting Omaha. My personal pathway, as you can imagine, is a little bit different. For one thing, I have lived in this area, other than the brief time going off to college. I've been in the Omaha, Nebraska area for pretty much my entire life. When I very first started playing at the age of 5, as you can also imagine, soccer around these parts was pretty primitive. Full-size fields, 5-year-olds playing 11v11, pretty interesting stuff. So the soccer culture was very, very far from developed. Education, training methods were pretty much non-existent. So my experience was pretty much playing through recess, after school, pretty much anytime I had the opportunity. The first real training that I received wasn't until I was about in high school, when I started to attend various European training camps, had some decent coaches in high school and in club at that time, and really kind of learned myself through the people that I was playing with and through competitions. So it was definitely different than it is now. Went off to school, decided I wanted to play in college. I played at Benedictine College, played there for a year, decided I wanted nothing else to do with soccer at all. Wanted to get on with the world and go have fun. That lasted for about 9 months. Then I realized how hungry I was to continue playing. Had a pretty good soccer career playing at Benedictine College, and really had no intention whatsoever to get into the coaching ranks. And that was how my soccer coaching career began. Alex, what's the rest of your story?
So in '94, came to America. At that time, I had what they called the FA badge. became involved with the club. Back then it was just called Millard Star, and thought, right, what is the next progression as far as a license? Because of my English license, I was waived in to the B. Bobby Howe was the director of coaching for US Soccer then. So did my B, I was successful at the B, went on to my A, did my A. The one thing that I really started to learn was that there was a very kind of deep method behind coaching, and not just looking at it as an ex-player. And that's what really I started to enjoy. I started to enjoy the theory of the game more so than just the practical. Since my A, I went on and done my LMA, League Managers Association certificate. That was one that I felt was very informative as far as world soccer. I then did my national youth. I've done my NCAA National Premier. I've done my a creative player module at Birmingham University. That was done online. And basically from that period on, I've really engulfed myself in just learning from as many different people as I can, right?
So after I graduated college, as I mentioned, I really had no intention to get into coaching, but was presented an opportunity to get involved in coaching high school. Of course, at the time, thought I knew pretty much everything, had no coaching experience, but, pretty much had all the answers. One thing led to another. There were some club opportunities that came up back then with the West Omaha Soccer Club. And then for about the next 5 to 10 years, things really, really snowballed for me in particular, insofar as I took advantage of or took opportunity with just about every available coaching opportunity that came up to me, whether that was JV, varsity, high school, assistant coach, ODP, helping out with local colleges, various clubs. So I was coaching in some way, shape, or form probably about 300 plus days out of the year. Finally decided to start to get into the coaching education side of things. Back then I had to start with my D, moved from the D to the C to the B to the A in a relatively short amount of time. In all honesty, probably a little rapid for what I was probably ready for as a coach. So there was a little bit of hard knocks in there, but had some success in those courses. Continued to coach in club, continued to coach in high school, spent, again, a number of years with ODP. Meanwhile, was also keeping a full-time job. So I wasn't the most popular person in my home, in my household anyway, because I was coaching every night after a full-time job. Then in 2009, largely due to the help, assistance, and guidance of Alex Mason and a good mentor of mine named John Keating, the opportunity to come in and coach at what was Omaha FC at the time came about. So dumped the day job and decided to take the leap into doing this full time. And it's worked out very well. Obviously there's ups and there's downs when you do something like this, but at the end of the day, if you really enjoy, working with kids, trying to make them better, there's a lot of really, really positive experiences that come out of it. And here we are today.